Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumo and I'm still at Sharjah. This is a lovely stall for French books and French publishers. It's amazing. I wish I could read and speak French. I've always desired to learn a little bit of it, but still a lot for me to learn. I'll step up now. This place is very inspiring. I stumbled on this. Académie Officielle. I don't know if I pronounced that. I'm very sure I did not pronounce that well. Paris Saint-Germain, the famous football team, football club based in France. And you know, if you have a child who does not really enjoy reading, or you're concerned about helping your child develop a reading culture, I always advise find out what that child loves and then find a book that fits into that. If you have a child who loves football, then you've got stuff like this. You've got books like this. It's very pictorial. And this is how a child can fall in love with books. Just get the child something that, I mean, look at this. I can see Le Football. Oh, what's this? Le Footballissime, whatever that is. So lots of books on football here. Very lovely books. And I think this is a famous Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but in French. So there's always something for kids to learn from, to read, to enjoy. Always. We just need to find them the right things. But this whole area is for international publishers and books. Whether you're French or Canadian or Turkish, you find them in this area. There's something in there for everybody. And it's part of what makes the Sharjah International Book Fair interesting. But there's a lot to learn from an organizational perspective, especially for all those wonderful people in Nigeria who, despite all the challenges, keep organizing book fairs and book festivals and book events. Despite so many obstacles, there's a lot to learn, and that's what we're all about today on Channels Book Club. Let's go and learn. You can only pull off an event like this when you get the organization right. Everything is catered for. Social media, finance, protocols, security. Every angle is covered at the Sharjah International Book Fair. And that is one of the most impressive things about it. World-class organization.
I think what stands out about this fair and UAE in general is how positive people are, how receptive they are, willing to take chances on books and people that they have met for the first time. And my novels, for example, you know, they've never heard of them before, but people bought them. Last year particularly, read them, went on Amazon, wrote great reviews. And just the positiveness of it, the internationalness of it. There are people, as I said, from literally all walks of life. So I feel I'm here. These people are. I'm a part of them, you know. They look like me, most many of them, you know. And I just feel wonderful being here, you know.
Nigeria on my mind. The average number of attendees at the Sharjah International Book Fair over the last few years has been about 2 million people. That's a staggering number of people to attend the book fair. The highest number of attendees at the Nigeria International Book Fair, I understand, has been about 30,000 or slightly more, over the years. What's the difference? Why the difference? Reading culture, values, sense of security, finance? The answer is probably a combination of some or all of those. But talking about finance, the Sharjah International Book Fair is largely funded by the government of Sharjah. The ruler of Sharjah is very passionate about developing reading culture and promoting literacy. So the government of Sharjah funds the Sharjah Book Fair, Sharjah International Book Fair. There is a government parastatal that is entirely dedicated to all things books in Sharjah. It's called Sharjah Book Authority. When I say all things books, I mean including the Sharjah International Book Fair. So the Sharjah Book Authority organizes the Sharjah International Book Fair. There's a lot for Nigeria to learn. Nigeria is tremendously, hugely, massively talented. Millions of young people, writers and artists and creatives. If we get the necessary funding, we can make art and culture big in Nigeria. And it's time we begin to think about that. Millions of people come to Sharjah just because of the Sharjah Book Fair, the Sharjah International Book Fair. Millions of people can come to Nigeria or visit Nigeria because of the talents, the immense talents possessed by our creatives back home. But we need to make sure the country is secure, and we need to put in a lot of funding. It will pay off if we do that.
A core part of the book fair is the participation of school children in Sharjah. Schools are organised to have days they visit the book fair to tour, participate in activities and purchase books, all with the primary objective of developing a book culture.
Watch out, Dante, be careful. We are in love. Yes, Ana Hobe, Maya Bibi. I love him, he loves me. You know, he wrote a lot about me. He wrote a lot of books. A lot of. Okay? Ah, Italia. We are in the Italian pavilion. Come.
It's all mixed with fun for the young ones to make the experience memorable. With publishers from over 95 countries and 1.5 million book titles, the organisation must be beyond people. The stands, the bookshelves are set up to accommodate the volumes. Activities are the hallmarks of the book fair. Many of the activities are intellectual, with topics ranging from literature to esports.
But have I had some amazing experiences at events around the world? Have I met some amazing people? Have I been involved in game launches and tournaments? Yes. Esports has given me a lot as I've been growing up and early days of esports.
We only ever hear negative about the gaming world. We don't hear the positives, we don't hear the success stories, we don't hear the positive impacts, but we do hear of all the other negatives.
It's important to do something because everyone now is paying attention to gaming, and this for the future is only going to grow because now your generation, you guys grow up playing games even more than I did. I started only like 5 or 6 years old. You guys started since maybe 2 years old already, with phone, with iPad, with anything that already exists. I didn't even have internet at that time, like at 6 years old. So you guys have everything. So I think that in the future, gaming is just going to take even a more important role, maybe even an Olympic role in the sports world, who knows? But for sure, more attention will be on gaming because you guys are growing up and this is the kind of things that you enjoy seeing.
The theme of the 2022 edition of the Sharjah International Book Fair is Spread the Word, a summary of the vision and mission of the book fair. But to do this successfully at the scale embarked upon, resources must be invested appropriately.
Heavy Indian representation here, Indian companies, publishers, authors, writers, workers, and they bring in so much value, great people. The Indians are. And I got an invitation to the New Delhi World Book Fair. New Delhi World Book Fair. Somebody slipped this in my hand and got me very curious. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make it, but I started to ask questions. How do you run your book fair? What happens over there? I've heard a lot about the New Delhi Book Fair, a lot. But I was fascinated by the gentleman who told me that it is funded almost entirely by the Indian government. And I said, wow, really? He said, yeah, it's funded almost entirely by the Indian government. So you begin to see the pattern. Some of the biggest book fairs in the world are funded by governments or trusts set up and supported by government. Nigeria has to learn from this. If we want to start hosting big book fairs that will attract not just our own millions of young people, but also international publishers and writers and authors and visitors, we need to start looking at how to fund our book fairs. They have to be properly funded. It takes money to do all this. A lot of money. History is very powerful, very, very powerful. Men and women of old preserving the stories of centuries and centuries ago, keeping those stories for those of us that live now, and those of us living now, keeping the stories of today for those that will be around centuries long after we are gone. One of the most exciting experiences for me at the Sharjah International Book Fair is when I visit stalls where rare books are displayed and sold. And I'm in one right now, mind-blowing. I mean, if you value history, it's mind-blowing. We're talking of books written, published centuries ago, 11th century and so on, still existing till now. Imagine the people who kept all those materials over the centuries, kept them well for us and today. Now, the rare books or high-valued books market is quite extensive all over the world. Universities, museums, and private collectors patronize these books, and they are very expensive. The older they are, the more rare they are, the more expensive they are, as you will expect. So, well, I'm here now, and let me do what I do when I come to stalls like this, see what they have. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again, Kunle.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
So I've been looking forward to a tour.
Yes.
Yeah, because your products are always very exciting.
Yes, yes.
They are all, are they replicas or originals?
No, these are all originals, dating from some even from the 11th century, all the way up to the 19th century.
11th century?
Yeah, so we have manuscripts here from the 11th century, the 13th century, printed books from the 15th century, 16th century, 17th and 18th and 19th century.
Wait, let me get this right.
Yes, sir.
You are saying these are original copies?
Yes, these are the originals printed at the time or written at the time.
So if you show me something and you say it's 11th century, I'm looking at the actual book
written in the 11th century.
Yes, in the 11th century.
Yes, yes.
How in the world are they preserved?
Because a lot of these books which we have here on display, it was an expensive process to make those books already, or those manuscripts. So they have been taken care of for all the centuries. You know, and that's why they are also rare, because if a castle or a library would have burned down in the 14th or the 15th century, you would lose the material. So people have always been taking very good care of their books and manuscripts.
I've seen some $250,000, some, what's the most expensive you have here?
The most expensive, we would have to go to the other side of the stand.
How much would that be?
That would be about 450,000 euros.
You show me that later?
Yes.
Maybe I might buy it.
Yes, why not? I'm happy. I'll write you an invoice.
So how do you get to
this is our job,
get these
but
books,
we buy from all over the world.
You buy from all over the world.
Yeah, we travel all over the world and then we resell it. Yeah.
Incredible.
You know, and there's collectors who have been collecting books their whole life, and then they pass away, and then the children will sell the books again. Or you go, or there's auctions, or we have other colleagues from whom we can buy books. Because even though it looks very weird here at the Sharjah Book Fair, all these antique books, it's a real market.
It's a real market.
It's a real global market, yes. So normally we do books with just antiquarian booksellers. And like, for example, the New York Book Fair, you have a room with 250 dealers who are dealing in rare books.
250?
Yes.
Wow. Do you have a date? Do you have a date range?
In which I'm dealing in?
Yeah. Do you say, oh, we don't buy books after 1850 or 1900?
That's the exact correct date you are mentioning.
Oh, 1850.
Because 1815, but it can be also a little later depending on the content of the book. But for most of the time, 1850, 1860 is when I cut it off because of the Industrial Revolution that took place then. Books are not handmade anymore, but they are machine-made, which the quality is less and less and less than the handmade books in the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th century.
So I finally picked up this book. I've been wondering, I've been curious about this book for such a long time. Why Nations Fail, The Origins of Power, Prosperity and Poverty, written by Daron and Robinson. I finally picked it up here at Sharjah International Book Fair. Why do nations fail? Why do some nations succeed and some other fail? They're basically all the same as human beings, but some get it right and some don't get it right. It's a question that I'm sure you've asked yourself at one time or another. And the revelations here are quite mind-blowing. Some say leadership, some say culture, some say some other reasons. But talking about leadership and culture, the two authors of this book in chapter 2 say that poor countries are poor not because of their geographies or cultures, or because their leaders do not know which policies will enrich their citizens. So why exactly are poor nations poor? Well, you might just have to get yourself a copy of this and find out what they've said. But another very worrying thing for me, considering where I come from, is something written here. If you make a list of the poorest 30 countries in the world today, you will find almost all of them in sub-Saharan Africa. They are joined by countries such as Afghanistan, Haiti, and Nepal, which, though not in Africa, all share something critical with African nations. So what is that something critical? Again, you'll find it in here. Well, this is where it ends for us at Sharjah International Book Fair, and also on this episode. It has been fun, it has been exciting, and eager to go back home. Well, we look forward to getting your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.